Good Monday morning, everyone. Schuyler Callihan here with Between the Ears, and today it is the spring game recap. I'm going to drop some of my thoughts from what happened on Saturday in Morgantown. The uniforms were also revealed. We'll get to that tomorrow. We're going to save that for its own episode because I've got a lot of thoughts on that, so I want to explain that, and then also I want to sort through your guys' comments on YouTube as well. So go ahead and drop your comments for tomorrow here on this episode now about the uniforms. Let me know what you think. What do you like? What do you dislike about the new look? And I'll go through some of those tomorrow on the show. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel here at Mountaineers Now. Give us a thumbs up and then go to X and follow us at that same handle. We're here Monday through Friday, and that will change again in the future. As I've said in recent weeks, that we will probably take a step back here in the offseason once the spring game concluded. We're going to go Monday through Friday this week, and then we'll kind of game plan what the rest of the offseason is going to look like here soon. So I'll definitely let you guys know. But let's get to the spring game. I'm not even going to talk about the score because there's 17 different ways that this thing was scored. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. There were so many guys. There was a couple guys, I believe, that actually played for both teams, and it's hard to kind of decipher who was actually on the blue team and on the gold team. And to try and keep track of that all, it was a lot. So I know the official scorekeepers had their work cut out for them. But quarterbacks, again, as I mentioned on Thursday and Friday when we talked about the game, this was going to be very geared towards the skill guys, quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, receivers, DBs. This was pretty much a glorified 7-on-7, and it's hard to really gauge what you're going to get from the linebackers, really from the defensive linemen a little bit. But I thought they allowed them to get a little bit of aggressive and thought a little bit, but not too much. Obviously, you saw them pull up when they got close to a quarterback, or even when they got close to a running back. A lot of the times they would just try and just wrap them up before bringing them down to the ground. But from the quarterback perspective, I thought both guys did well. There was a lot of things that I really liked. The stat lines aren't necessarily very sexy, but it's a spring game. No one cares. This is just about putting on a show really for the fans and getting out of this thing healthy. And I liked what I saw from both quarterbacks. Garrett, number one for him, again, the dinks and the dunks, that's the thing that we're going to continue to watch. I thought he did a pretty decent job at. But also his footwork. His footwork looks much improved from where it was, let's say, last December. And I think that's really the number one key when you go from being a 52, 53% completion percentage guy to, say, a 62 or 63% type quarterback. Footwork is the biggest part of this. You have sloppy footwork or inconsistent footwork, it's going to throw you out of whack, and it's going to leave a lot of balls go sailing. And it's just a big part of it. It is. And Neil's talked about it. Tyler Allen's talked about it. Garrett's even talked about it. I thought his drops were a little bit better. I still think there needs to be some more consistency there. And once he gets that shored up, I think you're really going to see Garrett take off. But for the most part, liked what I saw out of Garrett. Nico, I'm telling you guys, if it eventually clicks, this kid's going to be phenomenal. And I'm not saying it hasn't clicked yet or that it already hasn't started to, because it has. But the moment he really turns the corner, this kid's going to be special. He's going to have that Garrett Green type moment where, towards the end of his junior year, Garrett really kind of took off once he finally got healthy. And I think when Nico gets his opportunity, it might take him a couple games, but man, when he makes that assertion to everybody that this is me, I'm here, it's going to be something special. The kid just, from an IQ standpoint, is through the roof. It's just got to translate over to the field. We saw a couple of passes that he probably wished he would have had back. He threw the one interception in the red zone. He forced it. There was another ball that he forced in the end zone that was incomplete. There was a couple of just forced passes, and I don't know if that was just he thought he could squeeze it in or if he was trying to give his guy a chance to make a play. He had nowhere else to go with the ball, didn't see somebody. I don't know. But you can definitely tell that his game has grown since last year as well. And that's just great signs for this quarterback room for this offense in the future. Ball jumps out of his hands. He's very athletic. I think in terms of his footwork, it's very, very good. He's got a natural, smooth, repeatable release. I think the world of the kid. I really, really do. It's just got to click completely for him. And he's getting close. He's knocking on the door. I can feel it, and I wouldn't be surprised that by the time fall camp rolls around, that he's made that step. Because if he's made this much progress from December to say March or April, got to imagine that it's going to happen for him between now and fall camp. Going to the offensive line, I thought again, it is hard to kind of gauge and kind of judge the trenches in these things, but I thought the O line performed really well, not just the starters. I thought they kind of dominated the day. Now, the running game, they only averaged about 3 yards per carry if you combine the two sides, but how much of that would have changed if you allow the whistles to be tucked in the back pocket and let them run and break tackles and stuff. So I think a lot of that skewed. Pass protection wise, I think they only gave up what 2-3 sacks maybe, one of which was on redshirt freshman Johnny Williams. So I thought the battle at left guard for the backup spot was pretty solid. Sully Weedman, Mo Hamilton did well. Xavier Bosley, Nick Malone at right tackle, impressed. So I it's also hard to know too, like, is that a good sign for the offensive line and its depth, or is it a bad sign for the defensive line? But don't put too much stock into this thing. It's hard to really decide what's going on in these types of games, especially in the trenches. So don't overreact to anything there. Trayon Ray, he's going to be an all-league player. It might happen this year. He has made a significant jump from where he was in December, and he could be their number one receiver. Jaden Bray, the Oklahoma State transfer, he's got a chance to do that. They're more than likely going to try and bring somebody else in through the portal, I would imagine. Cole Taylor at tight end is probably going to be up there in terms of targets, but Traylon Ray is putting himself in that mix. And there's a lot of kind of discussions, conversations about whether or not he and the others, Hudson Clement, Rodney Gallagher, and so forth, would be able to make a big enough step in year two to kind of overcome that sophomore slump that so many people have. Traylon Ray, I don't think we're going to have to worry about. Rodney Gallagher, he didn't get a target in this game. And I think a lot of that was by design. I don't think that was intentional to not get him the football. There was a lot of reasons why. We saw him on the field a little bit, so I'm not even concerned about that. But man, Traylon Ray, hats off to him. He's definitely making some steps in his progress. Other young guys I thought that impressed. Obi Onwuka, 4 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss. His sack came against Johnny Williams, just blew right by him. And I don't know, there must have been some communication. If you go back and look at the play, it looked as if Johnny almost felt like he thought he had some help, whether it was from a running back or somebody, because he was totally focused on the inside pass rush along with Mo Hamilton. So I don't know what happened there, but Onwuka had a free pass to the quarterback. Josiah Trotter, 3 tackles, the interception, as good as advertised so far. We've talked about him, how great of a player that he could become. Zay Jennings, who had 3 tackles and an interception, the one off Nico. Zay Jennings is going to be a ball player, and he's going to be playing this year, not just on special teams. He's going to make an impact on defense some way, some shape, some form. Elijah Kinsler also had a sack. So overall, I think it was kind of the perfect balance between what you want to see from your offense and defense. You don't want this thing to be where your quarterbacks are just carving up your secondary. You don't want guys dropping passes left and right. You don't want, pass rush galore where there's 5 or 6 sacks happening. You got to have a little give and take. And I think we saw that. I don't see any glaring issues that came from this game. I don't see anything, where I look and say, oh, yep, that's the major strength of this team either. It was kind of kept close to the vest. And I think that's the way it should be for these types of things. We don't need to see everything. We don't need to see them go full force and get somebody hurt. But overall, I think this team's in a really good spot going into the offseason, and with the opportunity to add some pieces again, either at receiver. We saw them add in the secondary over the weekend with Dantes Fagan from Charlotte, the defensive back, and probably going to add another defensive lineman or 2. The depth on this team right now is probably in the best shape it's been since Neil Brown's been here, and it's only going to get better. The biggest piece now over the next couple of days, because it's the end of the month, is retention. Can Neil Brown and this staff continue to hold on to its top players? Portal's about to close, and if they can get through this month without any big surprises happening, that's a major, major win for the 2024 roster. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section here on YouTube. From what you thought of the spring game, what do you think needs to happen in the offseason for this team to make that jump to be a Big 12 contender? And also, again, let me know what your thoughts are on the new look for the Mountaineers with those new uniforms. We'll dive into that tomorrow here on Between Ears. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a like on YouTube at Mountaineers Now, and give us a follow on X at that same handle. I'm Schuyler Callihan. You've been watching another episode of Between Ears. We'll check back here tomorrow morning.